Hey, my soul tribe, this is Solstice here, and today I'm with my friend Lori Peacock Lund, and we're going to talk about transmuters versus empaths, like what's the difference. And I'm just really excited about this topic because I feel like I'm a transmuter and she feels like she's an empath, and we're going to kind of work that out and see how what that is, because I feel like there's still some misunderstanding around it. And she's also going to talk about how we can work with it better, because I feel like it's actually put a dent in my life, because it's caused a lot of exhaustion that's been debilitating, really. And I'm really curious to know what she has to say about how to work through those issues, and if maybe we actually have a choice about whether or not we need to be doing these roles as empaths or transmuters. So let me just introduce her. Like, Lori is a powerful advocate for connection to the spiritual and physical, and acts as a bridge to help connect you to your biggest vision and an embodied soul. With 7 years experience as a personal trainer, as well as 8 years experience as a spiritual teacher, intuitive healer, and shamanic practitioner, she utilizes all her gifts as she works with you to create the most space for expansion and healing from the inside out. She is a wife, a mom to 7, grandma to 8, and connected powerfully to all her roles as part of her path and purpose here. Thank you for being here, Lori.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation today.
Yes, I'm really excited. I know, right? So let's just start by kind of defining transmuter, empath, or maybe people could be both transmuter and empath.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Yeah. So from my experience, empath is really, it's really about having awareness and feeling this deep depth of emotion, right? Feeling everybody's stuff and kind of like getting a sense of what's in the collective, or what is in the person, or the room. It's an ability to feel and be present with everything that's going on, and we oftentimes will pick up this bigger, depending on where your reach is, right? If you are, if you're barely coming into this, you will pick it up in your family, or you will pick it up in the people around you, or your work. You'll pick it up there. And I think that that there are some gifts in that. I do believe that, like, what I believe a role of a true empath is to really have this compassion. Like, people who are empaths have this deep compassion for people that are struggling or going through hard things, right? And but I really feel like this empath role has gotten skewed, and I feel like there's been a lot of judgment around it, and a lot of misrepresentation of what it truly is and what our role is in it. And then I would say, as far as your question around transmuter, I believe that could be an empath transmuter. I believe that you can be a transmuter without necessarily being an empath. And I believe that is connected to your deeper purpose, like your bigger purpose here. And that you will gain clarity as you seek it, depending on what it is, whatever it is your role is, whatever it is your purpose on this planet is. I believe that we each have a choice in that, because we have free will here. So of course we have choice in the way that we go about our work and what that wants to look like, and that can change, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's interesting that you say we have a choice, because I've been feeling like I don't have a choice. Like my guidance has told me that what I do, and it's something I don't actually know how to do. It's like I don't have to actually think about it. It's just something that I came in with, and some of my clients have described the same thing, and they didn't even know what a transmuter was. They actually said it in their session, and they're just like, "You're a transmuter, and that's why you get exhausted." And
Mm-hmm.
and there doesn't seem to be that much we can do about it. So I don't feel like I'm an empath. I don't necessarily pick up on the mood in the room, like, or even
Okay.
pick up on if anything, I'm actually terrible at actually noticing body language and going, oh, somebody said, well,
Yeah.
she was so pissed off. And I'm like, really? I didn't even notice
Yeah.
that she was pissed off. So I don't necessarily notice all that stuff that other people seem to spend a lot of time noticing everybody's
Yeah.
emotional world. But I did notice that when I had a boyfriend, this was when it was a long time ago. So, but I do remember, because he was an alcoholic, and I could actually feel that he was having, I would feel anxiety inside of myself, and I'd be like, where is this coming from? Like, because I'm always noticing if I have a mood, and like where I want to know what's going on, and because if something's off, like I want to do something about it, is how I handle things. But I realized, like, after a while, I'm like, this isn't mine, this is his. And I could feel it like miles away before I even drove home. And then I'd find out, oh, he's drinking again. And he's like, because he doesn't want to feel these feelings, right? He doesn't want to feel the bad anxiety. So he just drinks it away. And that's what I would know, that something was up. Like I could feel something was up. But I think it's because we had a cord between us, and I could feel what he was feeling, because it was this intimate bonding between us. But not like, I don't feel that was necessarily everybody.
Right.
But what I do think I do is, like, it's almost like my field is like a light field, or like a vortex is what I understand. And then it's like wherever I am, I'm moving energy and transmuting it, darkness into light, is what I'm doing. And that's, my whole life has been extremely nomadic, my adult life. And I feel like it's because it's like the universe is saying, okay, well, we need you over here. And now we need you over here. We need you to clear the energy here. We need you to be here for what? Now you're done. We're going to move you over to here. And I have moved all the time. Like sometimes 3 times in a year, I'll move from different places. Like it's been very rare that I've actually stayed in one place for a full year, like the same place.
Yeah, I've watched your journey, actually. I've seen you move around. So I know that. Well, what I would say is, I think that there is a level of empath that you do definitely have, right? Because it's not completely, you're not completely oblivious. And so there is some empath skills and, skill set there. But what I would say is that you have been willing to connect to your bigger path. Your way of doing this is through really listening to your guidance, and actually like saying yes, okay, that, and just the way you're describing, kind of like clearing energy, right? Transmuting the energy. I know that I also have that ability to do that. And my husband and I both have been called to different places. And I've had that same message. You're needed here. You're needed here. And so, but the thing that I really want to be like open up to in this conversation is, how can we work more efficiently with the gifts that we are given? And I think that sometimes we are, like, we kind of have this idea that I have to do this all by myself, or I don't have help with it, or I don't know how to do it, but I have to do it. And I do feel that there is kind of like this compelling energy, right? There's a compelling energy for me to speak. That is one of my gifts, is speaking and saying, hey, I'm willing to speak for whatever's coming through, right? I'm willing to open my voice. However, the difference is that I'm willing to do that in a selective way, where I'm 100% at choice around it. I get to decide, how do I get to speak up? Is it in an interview with you? Is it in an interview on my own channel or my own page, or what? Where do I feel compelled to do that? And I get to have creative control of that, and how that gift gets to move through me. Does that make sense? So for me, I know that I transmute energy as I'm speaking, because I feel it. I feel it. When I speak up, it's kind of like this energy comes through, and it's this ripple, and people that have been around me they feel that, right? You have felt that today.
Yes, and I needed like calming tea, because I was like, whoa!
I have a little bit of
fire. So I guess I am an empath in some ways. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely have a little bit of firepower behind me. Absolutely do.
It's a good thing. It's just I feel very lit up.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that what we're missing here is that there is a layer sometimes of our gifts that get stuck in what I would call a wounded pattern. So it's almost like it's like sometimes our wounded pattern of empathy or gifts or transmuter shows up for us early on in life. And it's wired with a trauma pattern. And so what wires together fires together, right? And then we become, oh, hi, Kitty. Then we become, I also whisper animals a lot. So hi. Anyway, so it kind of gets stuck in that, in a pathway that says this has to come in with some kind of a wound or some kind of a trauma. And I have my own version of that. I realized that I have this big capacity to love, and my capacity to love is very healing, very, very healing. And that came in for me at age 4 in a significant trauma. And so what happened in that trauma created a binding along with that gift. And so I didn't know, I had no idea this would happen. But as I started opening up to my gifts and doing my work and, working with people one-on-one, I would unconsciously create a wound. I would unconsciously create that same dynamic. And this particular dynamic was my body was taking a hit in that particular trauma. And so what would happen is I would do a session, or I would go a week doing my work, and it was so beautiful and so fulfilling. And oh my gosh, I love this so much, right? Like I feel all of this connection to my work. And then the next week I would be taken out. And I would get either sick, I would have an asthma response, or I would, I couldn't do it. And I would just be like, what is happening? If I'm meant to do this, why do I keep getting taken out when I step fully into my purpose here?
And your power.
Yeah. And I realized through facilitation, and I actually do facilitation for people and unwind this with them so that they actually can come in a cleaner way that doesn't take them out, that doesn't wrap their wounding in with their gift. And so I think that sometimes happens. And there's a lot of wounded healers, that don't understand that can be healed. And then we can come to a truer aspect of what we're really here to do. So for me, that is where that has shifted dramatically for me. And as I have done that, I have more access to my power. I have more access to my body's innate gift. And now I can transmute without even knowing I'm doing it. It's like kind of what you're talking about. I can walk into a room. I know that there's a way that I hold myself, and I ground the light, like it's a light that's coming in, and I ground it. And it's a very powerful grounding. And when I do that, then it can come through effortlessly and easily. And my guides are continually teaching me, do this, right? And show up this way, do this. And so I do a lot of self check-in, and I do a lot of, before I do anything at all, I am very connected and grounded to my body. I'm very soft with my body. I bring presence to all of it so that nothing gets sticky. Does that make sense? So I believe that we have the mechanism to do our gifts in a way that it does not take us out. We're not required to sacrifice our body for the name of our gifts. We actually aren't. And I think that in a lot of ways, I know that's why I'm speaking about this. I know that it's meant to be talked about. Because it's a new way. It is a lighter way. It is a higher vibration way to bring ourselves into what we're here to do and be in the world that doesn't mean we have to suffer. That suffering, we have done the suffering thing far too long on this planet, far too long. And it serves, it serves a lot of our wounded aspects to continue to stay in suffering. Right? So as we heal our own inner pain, as we heal our inner wounding, whatever that is, which I am all about, like I am here to heal the inner wounding in a really beautiful, loving way that doesn't mean we have to struggle and suffer and continue. We butt up against this thing that is keeping us from really rising in our power. That is the message that I'm trying to convey is, what else is possible for us to check into? Where do we need healing so that we can continue doing our work in a way that feels good to us and contributes to us, right? Because our work is meant to contribute to us, not just financially, not just sole purpose. It's meant to contribute to us and our aliveness through our body, through our embodiment. And if that isn't happening, then what else is going on that is bypassing that? I know that it's possible because I've lived it, I've done it, I've gone through it. I have been in this conversation deeply, and I continue to push myself in uncomfortable ways that says, what are you really doing here? What is your message really about? And I'm willing to shift my narrative when I'm guided to do so. And that's really what this is for me. That's why I'm speaking up.
Yeah, that's a huge relief for me, because I have felt stuck, like this is it, like you're just going to be exhausted. And it's gotten to the point where I just feel like, well, I can't even do anything else in life because I'm just transmuting and I'm feeling exhausted. And so therefore I can barely keep a job, because I don't even want to have to be scheduled to be at a job at a certain time, because I don't know when I'm going to feel completely like immobilized. Like it's a very heavy feeling that it feels like I can barely even get up to make food or go to the bathroom. Much less have to go to work.
Yeah, I totally hear you. And in fact, I wonder if there's some reframing for you that this could actually open up for. Like, what if you're meant to not hold down a regular job? What if you're actually meant to do this work that you're doing? If this is really your work here, then there is a way for you to do it that is going to actually support your livelihood. I take breaks. Like I don't work. I do my work probably 3 to 4 days a week. And I am very selective with my energy, how I do my work, because I know that I bring a lot to the table. I know that I engage a lot. And then, yes, there is downtime for me, right? And I believe that downtime is just as important for me so that I can continue to do my work. Does it mean that I'm taking on the heaviness? No, but it means that I'm willing to give my body what it needs so that I can do my work better. And that means feeding it well. That means giving it lots of rest. That means taking days where I work on my body. That's what I do, right? I have a lot of support staff in that, where I do my own energy work. Plus I have a healer that helps me with my own work. I work with my own massage therapist who also does energy work. I do cryotherapy. I do a lot of things to take care of this vessel, because I do have tremendous amount of trauma in my life, a tremendous amount of trauma. And so I know that I get to work and be have a beautiful relationship with this vessel of mine that has gone through so much and that continues to have certain things that I struggle with just simply because of that trauma. My thing is that I've been able to now gauge, like back in the beginning, when I was first kind of starting to come into everything. It was probably 2010, 2011. And I would allow this kind of empath, this empathy what I would actually feel is this broader collective energy. And I would feel this intense sadness, right? This intensity in the world. And I would automatically, because I didn't know better, because I didn't know what was going on, I would automatically think that was mine. I would automatically go, oh, this is mine.
Mm-hmm.
This is me. This is all of my pain. Well, I've had a significant amount of pain in my life. So it's almost like they lined up. Does that make sense? So I think that's kind of how inadvertently we take things on, is because we're aware of pain in the world, or disconnection in the world, or we whatever, wherever we are, we can also feel that in the world, right? Would you agree to that?
Okay, so you're saying that if I have trauma inside of me, that I will feel it in the collective and I will relate to it as an empath?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes I feel like empaths take on stuff that's not theirs.
They have a version of it. They have a version of it. It may not be specifically that. But what I think is that what I've experienced with people as I've been working with them is that it's kind of like this mechanism will switch, and it will, whatever they are feeling or sensing around them, it may be that they have their own version of it. That might be how they're connecting to it. It may be that this is pulling at their wound, and they're not willing to see it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It may be that whatever they are sensing has a message for them, and so they're trying to gather what that message is. Is that like, so there's a lot of different layers to this, and I think it's important to, so let me give you an example. Okay, so I have had, I don't want to trigger anyone. Like, this is the thing, like, this is kind of a triggering conversation. It can be. But so, like, for me, I know that one of the things that I can connect to people around, one of the ways that I give empathy, it hits me really deep, because I actually lost a child. And so I'm continually connected without even knowing it. People will come up to me and then they're like, there's something about you. What is it about you? I'm just drawn to you. What is that? And I don't even know what that is. And then all of a sudden we'll have a conversation and we find out we've both lost a child. So it's kind of like I'm connected to people who have lost children, because I have tremendous amount of compassion to give them. And so, and I get teary-eyed because I'm very emotional once again. But it is, it's like, oh my gosh, let me just sit with you with this, because for me, this happened, we're coming up on 18 years ago. So I have been through all the layers of this, and I have been through all the grief around this, and I have come to the knowing about it. I have healed it. And so I can now hold space for that. I know that when people come to me and they have this experience, I can just be with them in that pain. I can be with them. I don't take their pain.
Okay. So there's a distinction. Yeah. That's why I was wondering, like, when you can be with them and be present and hold space for that.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you take it on now and move it through your body.
Right.
And now you're tired because, like, oh, I just released the burden from them because I know what they're dealing with. There's a distinction. So that's not from woundedness. That's from healed.
That is from healed. Yeah. So there's this model that I am working with right now with my clients and in my classes. It's a model that is, it fits all of my work fits in this model. And the model is healthy self. So we're born with our healthy self. Our healthy self oftentimes has our gifts because we come in with them. And then we experience this life, and we have trauma, or we will have a trauma, and we become wounded. And then our wounded self kind of comes in front of our healthy. So our healthy self is like here, and our wounded self comes here, right? And our wounded self is just like wounded, right? Ouch. Like, and then what we do from this wounded place is we create another self that's called a survivor self. Mm-hmm. And we have tons of variations of this survivor self, because the survivor's job is to cover the wound and to defend the wound. Right. And so part of, what that can look like in a empathic or intuitive aspect is, okay, my wounded self is going to scan the scene and decide if she's unsafe. And in that scanning is where some of that intuitive, empathic, wounded healer aspect comes in, because then that wound has to be covered. Right? So we develop this sixth sense, or this, empathic ability, or whatever, intuitive ability, to scan the room and be like, okay, danger, danger, danger. Okay, cool. We've got that handled. Okay. This person's this, or whatever it is, whatever our wounded self needs. Right. So we have that aspect of our empathic or gifted nature. Then what happens is like, in order to kind of release the survivor aspects of us, there's another self that can emerge. And that emerge is divinely connected to your purpose. That self kind of holds or comes forward with the healthy self and the wounded together, and they merge together with their purpose and come ahead. So then they now lead with this divinely connected purpose of, okay, what am I really here for now? And so that's a lot of like what I do with people is I help them identify where they are in their path and what is actually true. Where is their true gifts? And how can they bring that to the forefront now? That doesn't mean I give everything I am. That doesn't mean I sacrifice my whole body and my whole world and my whole life. That doesn't mean I have to cover my wounded self, right? Mm-hmm. You heal that wounded self. You give that wounded self what they need and what they've always needed. And that rises with your gifts. So in a way, you're coming at your giftedness from a healed aspect. And it took me, for this particular one we're talking about, it took me a lot of time to heal from that. I wouldn't, there is no way that I would facilitate somebody around the death of their child if I am still crushed by that, right? Because what that opens up to then is almost a way, again, a wounded nature of, let me take that pain for you, because I don't want to bear my own pain. Mm-hmm. I don't want to bear my own wound. And I see it in you. So, and you're triggering mine. So I'm going to take it from you so that you're not triggering me anymore. I'm going to fix this for you, because if I can fix it for you, then you're better. And then I feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is the wounded healer archetype.
Yep.
And you described it in a different way, because I always just felt like it was a way to just distract. Like, if I can fix you out there, external, then I don't have to look at my own pain.
And there is a lot of layers to that. And that is definitely a layer. I would say that's a layer. There's another thing too that I think we do, and a lot of very wounded people do. I mean, we're all very wounded, but some of us have deeper wounds, and it's something that I've actually called out in myself recently. There's an aspect of this kind of over emotionalism that gets wrapped up in empathy, that gets wrapped up in the idea of empathy. Like, I'm empathic, therefore I'm over emotional. There's also a wounded survivor aspect that's over emotional. And I had that. So in a lot of ways, when in my family of origin, I was one of 9 children. you didn't get shit. I'm sorry, but you didn't. And unless there was an upset.
I beat you. I have 10 siblings.
There we go. Yeah. So you know this, right? You don't get your needs met unless there's a big to do about it, unless there's a lot of energy,
right?
It's like, I mean, I remember actually having a physical, I had a concussion. I fell off a retaining wall and had a concussion. And I went in to tell my mom, and literally there was 6 other, like all my little brothers and sisters around her. She was trying to sew, and there was just sheer and utter chaos. And I literally just went in this very calm, way, because I had a concussion, and told her, Mom, I fell off the wall. I don't feel good. I went in my room. Oh. And it wasn't for a good hour that all of a sudden it dawned on her, right?
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And she comes in and she's just all, but for the most part, like, you had to create a big to do if you wanted your needs met. And so a part of that for me was this over emotionalism, and it has done its job. Right. And this isn't to badmouth or even judge our survivor aspects, because
or our parents,
right? We're here because we survived. Right? We're here because we survived. Right? So in a lot of ways, I think it's just important to get clarity about what your gifts really are, and how have a dialogue and a way to, like the way I connect with my guides is through journeying, shamanic journeying, because that's how I was trained to do it, and you can, I also get messages in nature. I get messages through the birds a lot. I get a lot of spirit messages through the birds. So find a way for you to receive information from your guide team so that you know how to proceed in a way that feels good to you, that helps you stay intact. And I think you've got to have that. And I think that's an upgrading system. Like, be willing to upgrade your tools and your system. And I have had to upgrade. I mean, I've been doing this work now, for almost 10 years. So, and I have had to upgrade my tools.
Well, I think that's kind of the name of the game. I mean, I've been doing this healing work for 30 years. And I think about when I started in 1994, it was like, there was no YouTube to find out about healing stuff. Like, you went to a therapist and they kind of knew some things to do, but they didn't really know that much. And I would say therapists now know a lot more, because there's more expansion of knowledge and information about what works.
Absolutely.
There's a huge amount of information now compared to like when I first started.
Yeah. Well, and I too, like when I first went to a Reiki, I went and had Reiki done. And this was around 2000. So, it's been like 23 years since that. And it was really interesting because at the time, this idea of kind of being able to transmute energy, right? Like, I know that, that I have that, that like, I know what to do with energy and I can transmute it with ease now. But at the time, my Reiki, the person who was doing Reiki on me, she gave me some feedback, and I didn't know what the crap she was doing. I just knew that I was extremely uncomfortable while she was doing it. And she told me, she said, she goes, I could get the energy about, above your body about 3 feet, and then you would pull it back. And I couldn't actually get it to release. And I was like, what? And so, like, I had that feedback in 2000. And then I didn't even know anything. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything. And so as I have done, my own training and done my own, inquiry and healed, and, I've been on my own healing journey through all of this, I realized at one point in time, it was like, oh, okay. Well, what do I know then about energy? What do I know? How do I know how to manipulate it then? Because if I pulled it back and wouldn't allow her to take it, what do I know about it? what do I get to do here? And so then I started working on, what is this for me that I get to heal? And I came, before I ever started doing work on anyone else consciously and by choice, I worked on healing my own self. I worked on my own trauma. I worked on my own stuff and became very clear. I kind of created the relationship to my guide team and myself, my higher self, to help me know what that relationship felt like, so that as I start now working with other people, right, which for me started in about 2014, now I know I have a relationship now with my team. And so I know, okay, this is what I need to do. And I always have a mechanism. It's always given to me. And it's different for every person. It's different for every person what that mechanism is.
So I'm curious, like, what do you think it was that was continuing to pull the energy back? What did you find out about that? Yeah.
I think that I think that it was some intense trauma that's why I went there, was for some intense trauma. And I think at the time, I think there was something that I needed to understand about my own connection to that trauma. I think I needed to be with it a little longer for me to learn. I honestly think it was part of my, it was a big part of my awareness of who I am. And so I think that I wasn't letting it go. I think, first of all, how I grew up was in tremendous amount of heaviness. And so in a lot of ways, that heaviness on my body was familiar. And it wasn't, I think the practitioner didn't give me enough information. I don't think that she let me know, okay, you might feel this and you might feel that. And it's okay for you to let this go. You don't have to carry this by yourself. Like for me, I do a lot of work with people as I'm helping them release so that they know they can. Does that make sense? So I think for me, I didn't have enough information to know I could let it go. And I think that the connection to that trauma was still very fresh and I wasn't ready to let it go. I think that there was a lot of information that was still really up in the air around it. And I felt like I couldn't let it go yet. It was too fresh.
I feel like something I'm really learning now, because I've been on this healing journey for a long time, and to discover that there's still trauma stuff that I'm still feeling like this exhaustion with my transmuter is really more still trauma. But this is still not like, so, but I'm learning though, that just because I've been healing and healing and healing doesn't mean I was ready yet.
Yeah.
There's definitely an awareness I'm having more about, like, if I wasn't resourced enough with enough self-love, enough support around me, enough financial support, like to be able to dive deeper into my stuff.
Yeah.
So there is a timing of these things.
There is a big,
you can't just like push and force. It makes it actually worse. It can re-traumatize you.
Yes.
When it's not time yet, it's not time yet. And
It's
that's why I feel like when you work with a guidance, like I work with the higher self and with my clients, and it's like their higher self determines whether or not it's time yet to actually face that, or it's not time yet.
Absolutely. And I'm 100% agree with that. I think I think it's really important too, when you have wounded healer, when you have identified in that archetype, I really think it's important for us to continually take time to do our own healing. And when I'm doing that healing, there's times where I actually don't work with anyone. And I'm like, nope, this is my time. Now for me, it can be a deep, like a deep workshop or a deep healing thing that I feel called to. And I'm always guided. I'm always guided to that. And I'm guided to where I need to go for healing. I always am. and I have been ever since I stepped in. So I think it's important sometimes to give yourself that, and to trust source, trust that the universe will take care of you while you do your healing. And it's important for you to continually heal. And then when you heal, then you bring more stability to your work.
And light.
As you step
and love.
And love. And light. And all the things you're here to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Because instead of healing from fear, you're healing from love. And
yeah. So, and it's like what I always say, when people come in and they are in this wounded healer thing, and they haven't been able to figure out how to get out of it. There's this thing that I always say. It's like, okay, do what you're here to do, but include yourself in that. Like, bring your healing gifts around your own body, your own being, and include yourself in that. It's not meant to give and give and give until you're depleted. That's actually not the way.
There's actually like another quantum healer, because I follow a forum, of other quantum healers. That's what I do. She was talking about that she was this is one that does a lot of healing. She was so worried. She's so concerned about the client that she doesn't even notice, like, oh, I need some water. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to and I was like, wow, no, I totally make sure, like, yep, I got my tea. Like, I got some warm blankies because I'm a little chilled. Like I think of me as well as the other person.
Absolutely.
And that's something that is part of I think it's part of trauma, really, like of our childhood, of like, we think of everybody else, the parents, and what they're feeling, and noticing that. And we don't notice, like, what do I need? And a big part of the beginning of my inner child healing was just like noticing, like, oh, I'm tired. I'd like to take a nap. Oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat. Oh, I would like a hot bath. Like, we don't even like think about that because we're always focused on, like, how do we give. So I'm still wondering, like, because I don't feel like that's the reason why my transmuter is so tired. Like, it's like, am I just over giving of myself? Like, I wanted to bring up an example of, it was during the pandemic. Let's see, it was the very beginning. So I had decided to quit my job. It was not something that they were requiring me to do. Like, if anything, they wanted me to stay there, but it didn't feel in alignment anymore. Like, I was feeling like this is going to get too stressful during COVID, and I don't want to be part of it anymore. It's already a stressful enough job as it is. So again, self-care, like, it was just like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And I remembered, like, not even looking at my bank account to see if I could swing it, like, to quit my job. It was just like, yeah, I'm done. And I felt such a big weight come off of me. It's just like, okay. And then as the lockdowns unfolded, I was able to stay in a friend's Airbnb because it was vacant at the time. So it was actually like a win-win, because he wanted somebody to be there in the vacant house, like, and not have it just be sitting there empty. And he didn't even like request like a utility, like to pay the utilities even. Like, I was allowed to just sit in this beautiful, like, modern home with like a beautiful, quiet neighborhood. And like, I could walk to these trails that these are not popular, like, touristy trails. They were just kind of more neighborhood trails. And I just got to like sit in this beautiful, serene location. But I do remember feeling extremely heavy, like very dark and heavy. And I just felt like what I was told by my guidance was like, you're just we put you in this position to be fully taken care of, like a free home with free utilities in a beautiful location. And I had some funds to keep paying for food and things like that. So I wasn't like totally like stressing over money even at the time. And they were just like, we just put you here because we need you to just move this energy. Because like the collective was very heavy. Like, we were suddenly thrown into a massive traumatic. So I was in the least traumatic situation during the lockdowns, right? I wasn't really locked down in my house. I was allowed to walk around. I could go to the grocery store. Like, nothing in my particular area was like having those situations. So I didn't feel that, I don't know. I guess because of the initiations I had been through already, like
Mhm.
uncertainty was something that I lived with like
Oh,
all the
totally.
time. So
Yep.
like when I didn't have a routine life anyways, like my life was so nomadic. So like
Yeah.
other people had their routines completely uprooted, right? Like I used to go to
Right.
work
Yeah.
every day, and then I
Yeah.
took the kids to school, and then we like nothing like that. Everything got completely changed for people that lived more conventional lives, I guess. And so to me, it wasn't like upsetting to be in that uncertainty. But I do know I still felt very heavy. So like it wasn't, I don't think it was mine. So when we were asking about like, is it really like, was I feeling some part of me that was unhealed? Was I transmuting? I was transmuting the collective trauma of lockdowns and uncertainty. I felt like that's what I was there doing.
Yeah.
I was being fully
Yeah.
supported,
Yeah.
but at the same
Absolutely.
time, was it really like, because I did feel really heavy. Like I literally couldn't do much more than just sit around the house and
No,
like watch YouTube. And
I think that there's a lot of transmuter healers, empaths, whatever, that also felt that. And I actually believe that it was almost like for whatever it is that we are or whatever it is that we're here to do, it's important for us to do it. And so I think that like for the healer population, we were called to do big things. I really do. And I think that part of that, none of that was light, none of it. And yet I don't believe that I was taking on people's stuff necessarily, but
Mhm.
it was
It's
extremely
like
intense.
it's like it's moving through me. I don't necessarily think I'm
Yeah.
taking it on. It's just the act of having that energy
Yes.
flowing through my, it's not
Yeah.
just my body, it's my whole field really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
moving through my field and being taken from being dark back to being light, because there
Yeah.
isn't enough people doing their own
Yeah.
transmuting.
So,
So that
yeah.
something has to be lifted off so that we don't get
Yes.
so heavy that we can't even move out of the
Yes.
pandemic
Yeah.
situation.
So I would say, as far as you go, like I'm speaking just kind of for you, but I think that you have a pretty good handle on what your job is. I
Mhm.
really do. I think that
But
you
I
have
feel like
been.
it's so debilitating. So like when you
Okay.
talk
So,
about free will, let's bring it to that free will part
yeah.
about, do I have free will to like, because it's getting to the point where it's not even about, I I'm feeling like, yes, I do feel like, yes, there's many, many times the universe has supported me in things like
Yes.
a free
Yeah.
Airbnb to live in for
Yeah.
three
Totally.
months. I got to live there for 3 months in this gorgeous location. And it's like, wow, that was like, so there's been a lot of support there, but I do feel like I want to do other things. Like I want to build a
Yeah.
healing center. I
Yeah.
want to
So I think maybe
do other
like,
stuff, and I don't have the energy for it.
yeah, so one of the things that I do, that I when I am shifting things and when I am looking at different ways to do things, right? I get really curious. Like curiosity is like I get really curious about it. And I am like I can pull, like the reason why I am so good at what I do is because I can literally pull the strings of whatever that energy is that you're talking about, and I can track it and I can find it and we can release it. So literally it's like when you're talking, I'm like, I feel like
Mm,
maybe there's some things that you and I can do together that will
mm,
help that. But as far as this like question of how can I do this better? Like you get to decide, okay, I want to do my work in a way that doesn't take me out. And I really want to create this thing that's
mm,
lighter. How can I work with you, universe, to
mm,
create in this way? What will it take for me to create this? And you have to start pulling it in energetically. You have to start connecting to it energetically, however you do that, right? And some of the ways that I do that, like if I have an offering or if I have an idea or something, I will go into the Akashic records and I will kind of, feel into what this is, and I'll check in to see the energy of it, to see if it's a possibility, to get the divine timing of it. And then I start to pull the energy of that, right? So in a lot of ways, it's not always the easiest. The default position in a lot of ways is for us to be like stuck in this place of like, okay, well, this is the only way I know how to freaking do my work. And I know I'm meant to do my work, but I don't know how to do it any other way, right? We actually have to open up to the way. and there's stickiness, like some of these stickiness that I have, that I know has prevented me from doing my work in a more easeful way, has a lot to do with my own connection to my body, what I have believed my body has been for in the past. In past lifetimes, we didn't need a body to do our work. In fact, we didn't need it at all. So in a lot of ways, it's like, I know that I have gone back and I have I have gathered what I call nuggets of wisdom and goodness from my past lives. And I've brought them to my current reality to help me know how to do this better, to help me be able to have a better way to do it so that I can continually upgrade my system. So, but it's sneaky. It's sometimes these things that take us out are really sneaky, and they're down in there really deep. They're deep belief systems that we've taken on. It feels like, and if you're okay with me sharing, what's kind of coming up.
This is something I have been more than 15 years trying to solve. What the heck this exhaustion is.
Okay. So it feels almost like there is, it may be some type of a shell aspect of you that is running this, that is still connected, that we can release, that can be released. It almost feels like it's not really the true essence of you. It's another aspect that is kind of hanging on for some reason, that is keeping you from the power that your body actually has. And because your body actually is grounding your light, your body is grounding your work here, right? So where have you detached from your body in a sneaky way, right? Like I didn't even know honestly, like I've been in this body conversation my whole life, right? I have, and yet I am still uncovering things for myself. I am still in the conversation of, all right, body, what do we get to do today? How do we get to be our magic today, right? How do I get to now contribute back to my body in a way that it can help me do my work? And where are you disconnected from your body actually helping you do your work? So maybe get curious about that and start asking your higher self, hey, where have I disconnected my body from doing my work? Where have I decided, judged, and concluded that I don't actually need my body to do my work? And how can I create connection, a deeper connection now to my body so that we can do our work together? Including your body. There was a point, and I'll just share this briefly because I know we're running kind of like, but let me just share this briefly. I was taught shamanic journeying. I became on my shamanic path, came to me in 2012, and I started learning how to do shamanic journey. And traditional shamanic journeying is your body stays here and your consciousness and your everything else rise and they go on a journey, right? It was it was interesting because it was in probably 2019. It was the end of 2019, and that I received this information from my guide team that said, you need to do journeying differently. You actually need to take your body with you.
Oh.
Don't leave your body.
How do you do that? I've done shamanic journey work.
I know. And I was like, what?
That would be like teleportation, right? I mean,
yeah. So I
was totally want to figure out how to do.
All right.
I want my power back.
Well, that's interesting. That changes everything. So I think the reason why they started guiding me to that is literally because of this, this level of disconnection is actually no longer required. It's actually no longer required.
Okay.
So my body actually has an innate nature to it. And I have known of it. I have been working with the consciousness of my body, which is beautiful, for over, probably, it started coming in 2011. And my body literally, the consciousness of my body literally came in and said, we're doing this differently. You are out of alignment. This is kind of where my awakening came in. And so there's always been a connection to my innate knowing in the consciousness and the perfection of this body. The consciousness of my body has been now a catalyst for me to grow and to do my work. It's always been there for me. And so I think that that's where this is coming from, is that my body knows things, and my body has it has knowing. And so now what I do when I journey, okay, is I just kind of bring my body along. I bring the consciousness of my body along. Not necessarily my physical body, obviously, because it's sitting.
So when you say consciousness of your body, you mean like you're fully, because when I shamanic journey, I'm fully aware of the body laying on a bed. At the same time, simultaneously, I'm over here in Mars or something, right? Like, so that's what you mean, is you're like, you're still aware of your body, your physical body.
Yeah, you're still aware of your body, and you're taking it along for the ride. You're kind of like, you're connected to it still, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like you have this ability to connect, and with this connection, you're going, right? But you're still connected. You're not disconnected from it. You're not actually exiting and leaving your body open. You're not leaving your body open.
That is so interesting, because I think, so I started doing shamanic journey work in 2010.
Yeah.
And I was part of a class. Well, I was really doing it before that, but I didn't know it was called shamanic journey work.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, so the other people in the class would describe coming back into their body, and it would be like us going back into a sleeping bag, like slipping back into a sleeping bag. And I'm like, I don't feel that at all. Like,
right?
It feels the same. Like I'm there and I'm here. So I must not have ever been, I always was connected. I never left. I just thought it was because I was more in a different, I understood it to be more like I was more 4D. And so therefore, when I was traveling through 4D, it didn't feel any different because my body's already in 4D. That's how I understood it.
Yeah. So like, what do you know then? What do you know that you haven't had permission to know? What do you know with your body that you haven't been given permission? I'm giving you permission now. Giving you permission now. Do you feel that? Do you feel that?
I still feel a rejection of being in the human body. Like, like part of the exhaustion is things like, I don't even want to have to eat, like just to make food, like a basic human, like physical body thing you have to do, which is make food. I reject that
as well. Yeah, I am also there. I actually am also there with you on that. I don't think that some of these tasks, I feel like they're freaking mundane and ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like I literally brush my teeth again. What?
I always say this. My family, they laugh at me because I always say, and they relate. Like, I have a lot of very magical children, and they relate. And I always say, wow, I did so good with my food yesterday, and I ate so great. Why do I have to do it again today?
I take another bath. You got to get a shower.
You mean I have to actually get ready and do my hair? Why? Yes. Why do I got to do that?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's definitely
a rejection still of the body, and
but I wonder if that is just your what I would call your, what is the word? Your soul expression, your soul essence, your soul, your soul group, wherever you came from, be experiencing the human embodiment, right? Because I know that my soul my soul group, where I came from, where my soul came from, came from a different place. So I'm a traveler or whatever. I don't, I'm not an earther. So
Mm-hmm.
people who kind of have always incarnated on Earth, they're earthers.
Mm-hmm.
They have.
That's why, like when I get so frustrated over the littlest, stupidest things about being in a body, and another
Yeah,
friend will be like, "Well, that's just life," and I'm like,
yeah.
"This
So
sucks." Like,
have you ever actually had an Akashic reading where you learned your soul group, or do you know your soul group?
I kind of do, but it's
What is your soul group? Do you know?
um. Well, I know myself to be like I've see. I do know I've had some past lives on planet Earth, but
Oh yeah,
all
oh yeah.
so far,
I
most of
mean,
those past lives have been like magical lives where I had like a lot
yeah,
more power. So they weren't like
yeah,
normal earthy lives where it's like
yeah,
you just like
yeah.
survive, you grow some food, and then you die, like, and you have some babies. Like that's the I'm not trying to like I'm not at all belittling earthy life. Like I'm not
No,
trying
no,
to
no,
say that.
no,
I'm just
no.
saying that
I
like my
understand. Yeah.
lifetimes were not normal, regular
Neither
earth
were
life.
mine. Neither were mine. But most magical people, they're not. Like
So that
I do, so I actually do soul retrieval. And when I'm doing soul retrieval, I go to their past life and retrieve their soul parts from past lives. I'm like,
mhm,
who does that? My shamanic practitioner that taught me didn't teach me to go to past lives and pull,
mm,
but every time from the beginning, I have done that. And I'm like,
mm,
okay, well, I guess that's just what I do. That's just
mhm,
part of how I do this, right? So I think it's like I know that there is a way that my soul group kind of, it's almost like you feel like you're a foreigner in your body,
mm.
right? It's almost like
And I
learn.
keep being told that I need to be embodied because really
Yeah,
the process of ascension isn't going to be leave your body.
exactly. It's
It's
not.
going to be you're going to
It's
keep
in
this
your body.
body and then you're going to expand
Yeah.
out further and more than you ever were before.
Yeah. So this is kind of, it's interesting that we're even going here because uh like we're going so far. Uh
Maybe
anyway,
too much.
this particular conversation around body, okay?
Mm,
I have an offering that's coming in
mm.
that I'm going to be doing, and it is
Okay, cool.
about it is like, I don't know the name of it, except that the only thing that's come so far
Is
is,
embodiment.
quantum embodiment.
Ah, woohoo.
Quantum.
Yeah.
Quantum embodiment. And so, because what happens now, and I think that this is what's happening, what I'm noticing a lot, is because of the timeline shifts and because of the dissipation of the timelines, we are all timelines now. And so what happens is our body will start to shift into whatever embodiment we have ever been. It almost shifts in and out of this embodiment. And so there is some healing that we get to do on a quantum level with our
Mm,
body. So it's like, because all of a sudden somebody will just present with, a form in their body that is actually not true to this physical thing that they're here to do. And it's almost like, what it feels like, it's almost like a what am I looking for, the word, kind of like a fractal like shift, or it's kind of like a like when there's gosh, I'm trying to find the word. It's kind of like when you see all the different layers, and then you get stuck in one of those layers, right? So it's kind of like, if I have wounding in a lifetime, okay, let's just put it this way. If I have wounding in a lifetime that is still operating, when I do people's realignment readings, we check into this. If I have a lifetime that I am portal to or I'm connected to, okay, that's still operating, my embodiment, my body is going to be running the energy from that lifetime. And that will sometimes show up with shields. Sometimes I have pulled shields off of people. I have taken, you know, like people who were prisoners. I have taken off prisoner garb.
And this is all on the etheric plane still.
Yep.
It's still existing on another,
Yes.
in the aura, so to speak.
Yeah, it's existing in
Etherically.
another lifetime, in another aura. And so they're actually presenting with it in their own auric field. And so I'm like, wow, like, okay, so when did you need your defender? When did you decide that you're going to pull your defender from Viking era and you're going to now employ your body to hold that Viking in place to keep you whatever you need to do here? Is that serving you anymore? And I think that that's where a lot of magical people get stuck. And I actually do a lot of removal from those types of situations when people are like quantumly shifting their body. So it's like, whose body are you operating with? Whose body is this, Solstice?
It's my ancestor's body.
Yeah. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, whose body is this? It's if it's an aspect that actually isn't really you, what would it take to shift into the body that you're meant to be in with these gifts?
Wow, that's profound.
So this is deep. And I do this work with people individually in my own healing room.
I think I'm going to have to sign up.
You might have to. You might have to, because honestly, I don't like, what I'm telling you is that this has percolated in me now for a while. And I actually had to connect into my own resources, my own true powerful resources to be able to deliver this information. Right? Because it is big, and it is the type of healing that I'm doing with people. It's very, very deep healing. So
I feel like I've been with my own quantum healing work, like I have found like shields or something that looks more like a chastity belt kind of thing.
Oh, I've removed those too. Yeah, for sure.
But it was like stuff that kind of kept me locked down. But I feel like it still didn't, it kind of removed some of the exhaustion, but then it's like it came back, and I don't know if I just allowed it to come back because I'm used to it, or because there's a part of me that's still rejecting the body. Because I definitely have found things like that and cleared them.
Yeah, I think it's going to take something. I think it's going to take a little bit deeper inquiry. Really, I do feel, yeah, it is a process, and honestly, it's almost like there's some versions of us that we actually aren't ready to let go of until we have the necessary resources activated in us so that we can let it go. And I think it can be easy. And so where are you making this hard? It's like, where do we continually align with this difficulty of this planet, right? And what do we know about shifting easily into a different embodiment that actually can support us? I really feel like that's the question that we need to keep asking, is how can we create some ease through this for, if I'm here to do my work here, how can I create some ease so that I can do it in a way that feels good to me?
And that brings us back to the empath's role. Like, it's like, can it be we're just taking on everybody's energy, or what is the new role of that? Like,
I think that where it has shifted and changed is more of an observe, be in the space of observing, not absorbing. Observe it, see it, and then don't absorb it, don't take it in. Decide what your role is in this. Like, what is your role? And just do your work. Like, do your work here, right? Whatever that work is. So for me, speaking is my work. A lot of speaking and helping, facilitating people is my work. But I'm going to be in an observational role when it comes to whatever that is. And I can observe it with allowance. And I think that's the difference. I can observe it now with allowance. And there's not a compelling part of me that says, I must have it, I must take it. If I am aware of it, then I get to have allowance for it while just doing my work and being connected to my purpose. And I think that's the difference. I think that's what we're shifting to.
So that's what you mean by how the role has changed of being an empath. It's like, it's changing into like, we can now observe it. And observation is really just being in the now, being present. Like it's, I call it neutrality.
Yeah, it's neutrality. But if you think about quantum healing, right? If I am embodying my light, okay, if I am connected to my light and I am embodying my power, okay, if I look at something and I observe it, it's going to change. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? If I'm observing and strictly observing, and I am holding my light
and love,
whatever I am seeing will change. Quantum theory tells us that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if it's just as easy as that? What if that's all we need to do?
So like, I want to use the example of like when we watch the news and there's another shooting.
Yeah.
Do you absorb it now, all that pain of there's a shooting and how tragic?
No, but
I observe it, and then does that shift it?
I cry. Honestly, I'm still sad. I can be sad without taking it on, right? I can be sad, and I have an appropriate level of sadness, but I can also go down the rabbit hole and pull it all in, and all that heaviness and all that sadness. And then I can just be crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And I can sit there for a week or a month. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean we're not.
Doesn't mean you're not going to stop feeling.
No, absolutely not. You will still feel. Your feeling is actually part of the gift that you are.
Yes.
Right? So it's not that we're trying to override it. We're not trying to say, oh, don't feel it. No, you feel it. But if it's an appropriate amount of feeling, you're not going to go down the rabbit hole that takes you out. And that's the difference. So when you're like, yes, feel an appropriate amount of sadness. I feel tremendous amount of sadness for where we are in humanity. I really do. But that motivates me to be more in my power and more in my gift and to do my freaking work, right? And if my work means being responsible for my environment and stepping in and using my voice powerfully, then I'm going to do that. If that means that I vote and I start using my voice and I start using my agency to verbalize what I feel like needs to happen, the changes in the world, then that is what I do. And that's how the world changes. It doesn't change because we just sit back and feel all of it. It changes because we powerfully observe it and we notice that there's something wrong here. And then we know that something needs to change. How I change these types of heavy, situations in my own, what I have been asked to do, okay, is to work with those who are in pain. And go out and do mass shootings. Do you see what I mean? Those people are tremendously wounded.
Yes.
And I work with the wounded. I heal the wounded. What I do. That is my
and
work.
myself, my own wounds.
And my own wounds.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of the change in the world is
because I'm not going to heal from a broken container.
Yeah.
I'm not going to heal. I'm not going to facilitate from a broken space. So I heal and I embody and I connect to my light. And then I step forward with my work. That is the model. And so it's getting clarity about what your role is. And we need everybody to do their work, right? We need everybody to have access to their work. And if they're taken out by their body, they're not going to do their work. They can't do their work because their body will always take precedence. Because if you are sick and you are injured, you will not do your work because you can't. You can't. Right? And then our body.
Not a resource place to help change the world.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a level that is required now of connection to our body in a different way. And I believe that that is true because of the forces that are out there in the world and in the that are trying to stop progression.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are not powerfully tapped into our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
then there is leaking that happens, and there is more takeover that can happen. And that is, I think, what has shifted. That is what shifted.
And with that, I want you to tell me more about your upcoming, it's a workshop?
Yeah.
Because it's about taking that back. Like,
Yes,
because if we don't take our power back, we're not going to be able to change the world. So
that's right.
you
That's
have a
right.
new thing coming up called From Permeable to Power, Rise of the Empath. Tell me more about that.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a class I'm doing. It's one class. And we will start to uncover this, those who come to the class, we will start to clarify where we are in this conversation. So it's kind of an opening up, talking about it. And then we're going to, we always do a check-in with our guides, and we do like a meditation or a journey to help us with whatever it is that we're talking about. So it's an invitation to come and get clarity. It's an invitation to come and find out what your true role is, and to also check in and be honest about this. Like, if I am feeling like my body is open season for anything and everything, I have to be aware of that and be willing to, hey, I'm not okay with that. Right? So this is a way for people to come and say, hey, this is what I've been doing and it sucks and I hate it. And where can I change? Where can I shift that? So that's what that is. If a deeper conversation needs to be had about that, then, I work with people individually, and we can kind of go into what your own thing is. And there's an invitation to do that. I do have a monthly healing membership program called Healing from the Inside Out. And it is literally, going a little deeper. It's doing the monthly class that I offer. And then mid-month, you also receive a reading and an activation so that you can continue working with the contents of the class. And it's really just that. It's just a way to connect with like-minded people that are also healing. And it's a way to do our healing work in a really safe, beautiful community where you feel supported and you feel like, wow, I can actually open myself up here. And that's really the purpose of it for me. I do also some deeper workshops and those types of things. If you want to know what those are, you can connect to me through Facebook. I'm Lori Peacock Lund on Facebook. You can connect to me there. I also can be reached through my email. My email is thenestingtree15@gmail.com. And if you want to be on a mailing list, you can get in on some of my deeper excursions into some of these topics. If you want deeper healing, I really love facilitating people one-on-one because it's so juicy and so much healing can happen. I'm really just an advocate for helping you do your work in a better way. And that's pretty much what I'm here to do. So
how would they sign up for the monthly membership?
The monthly membership, reach out to me either through email and just say I'm interested in healing from the inside out, or reach out to me on Facebook and, private message me, and then I can connect you to how we're going to do that.
Okay.
And then I connect their membership. I could tell them how it works. They pay for 3 months to, they're in it for 3 months, then they can re-sign at 3 months. And then it's just kind of that's all done through email. The class itself is done through Zoom. So then I just connect them to those, those ways to work. So.
Okay.
All right.
And then I think you're saying you're working on a website, and when you get that done, I will change it. So I'm going to put all of this information, her email and Facebook, in the show notes in the description below.
Okay.
And if you get a new website, I'll update the show notes, and you can just go directly to her website to sign up. So
sounds good.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
This has been so amazing. I
Woo!
so appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much, Solstice.
You're so welcome. This was awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you, Lori.
We may have more conversations to have, I wonder.
I think we
Right?
might do that. Yes, I
All
think
right.
we will. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.